Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Yes.
Yankees fans have already received one gift under the Christmas tree this hot stove season. Now they're hoping to unwrap the Soto dream as soon as this week. We'll discuss whether the Yankees are adding him to what's already been a busy offseason. We'll also have more on the buzz generated by the trade for Juan Soto and what he means for the lineup in 2024. Where will he bat? Our panel discusses all the possibilities coming up. Plus, we'll head a little further down the lineup and check in with Jose Trevino on how his offseason is going. It's a jam-packed edition of Yankees Hot Stove, and it starts right now. Everybody, it is great to have you with us on the latest edition of Yankees Hot Stove. Bob Lorenz, Jack Curry, and Michael Kay with you tonight as we recap everything going on in baseball, certainly as it relates to the Yankees, and it seems several teams' recruitment of Yoshinobu Yamamoto. What's the latest? What can you tell us?
From a Yankee perspective, Bob, they were very impressed with him as a pitcher as they watched him from afar, so to speak, even though they had scouts at every one of his starts. They've been equally impressed with him as a person as they've had conversations with him in a planned meeting that they had on Sunday. That dialogue continued between both sides, and the Yankees are the type of team that wants to let Yamamoto know that he would be a perfect fit in New York. This is a guy who craves the big stage and who is a superstar who could be part of a global brand. So as the Yankees are having that dialogue with him, they're reminding him of their rich history, their legacy of championships, and Michael, that also includes their lineage with Japanese players, something that I'm sure Yamamoto, a very meticulous young man, is watching closely.
Everything I've heard about Yamamoto, he has a rich appreciation of baseball history, and he realizes what the Yankee brand is all about. And I think that's going to be an attraction. The fact that none of the teams that are pursuing him have made any kind of financial offer tells me a lot about him and the people that are working with him, because he wants to be comfortable. He wants to know what each team is about, what their plans are for him. He's not worried about the money. The money's going to be there by whichever team that he chooses, but he's going about it methodically, which is the way he goes about his craft as well. And the Yankees have pretty much let him know, you know what, you can do what you do in Japan. It can happen here, and it can happen on the biggest stage. It can happen on Broadway with all the big lights, all the bright lights, and all the things that come with it. I think that's something that he wants.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you more about that in a second, but back to your point, Jack, about the history with Japanese player and the success that the Yankees have had. Certainly we've seen it in recent times with both Masahiro Tanaka and Hideki Matsui. Also in there, Hiroki Kuroda and Ichiro Suzuki. Ichiro, of course, is a revelation wherever he played, both in Japan and in the U.S. And you look at, for example, I think of Hideki Matsui, the connection that he still has with the team, Michael, and the way he is remembered so fondly by Yankees fans.
Winning a championship with the Yankees, if anything, could burnish what Matsui did in Japan, because when the Yankees went to Japan with Matsui, it was like traveling with the Beatles. I was there. It was an amazing reception. But when he won a championship and an MVP with the Yankees, that's a completely different level that he took it to. There's no way that a young man that was growing up in Japan and seeing what happened with Matsui and how the Yankees embraced him, how New York embraced him, that can't have some sort of positive effect.
And you look at those players that were on the graphic, and we've all covered them, we've all interviewed them, and the one thing that I think stood out for all of them as they had success with the Yankees is comfort. You want to go to a place where you know that you're going to be comfortable, and that's what Yamamoto is trying to decide right now. He is very routine-oriented. Do yourself a favor and read Jeff Passan's story on ESPN.com about him, which gets into a ton of details about how he likes to prepare. And I think one of the things the Yankees have imparted to him is, you're a 25-year-old free agent. A lot of teams are looking at you, but we're comfortable with you coming here and working with our coaches, but also doing it in your own way. You want that player to know that when he is switching leagues, switching countries, and going to a place that's 7,000 miles away from where his home is, that he's going to be comfortable, and I think that Yamamoto could follow the lead of those other players.
Just a few things in that passing column. Fascinating the way he begins his pregame preparation. A lot of stretching. We saw Ichiro do that even when he was in the batter's box, by the way. And then throwing size 1 soccer balls and javelins. And it just reminds me of the idea of a pitcher out there with a great physique, a lanky physique. It's like long toss. It's just his own unique, different version.
You know, a lot of pitchers throughout baseball have gotten away from long toss, and that was something that Jim Cott, our former colleague, now a Hall of Famer, he used to say, it's gonna rust out before it wears out. He said that you really should have long toss, and that's kind of been taken away from the preparation by a lot of pitchers. But this guy likes to do it, and he will be able to continue to do it with the Yankees or with I'm sure any team would allow him that as well. But the Yankees want him to know what works for you will work for you here as well. We're not going to change anything that you feel comfortable with.
So flexible, so athletic. The numbers that he was able to accumulate in Japan speak for themselves. The most dominant player, pitcher and player there for the last 3 years. But you talked about the stretching and the flexibility, Bob, and I do have to squeeze this story in. The first time I ever interviewed Ichiro Suzuki, he was a member of the Seattle Mariners. I was writing for the New York Times, and he said he would be willing to do the interview. Obviously, his translator was involved. And then he started doing all of his stretching exercises, and I backed away thinking that I had misunderstood and that he really didn't want to do the interview. He did a half-hour interview where he pretty much stretched the entire time. So I felt I needed to share that because you talked some stretching.
Well, you know what? You love to run. Did you take anything away from that? You steal a few little stretching tips?
I took away from it that, yes, Major League Baseball players, especially someone like Ichiro, are on a mountaintop that most of us really are never even going to be able to view.
You know, one thing that we should really amplify is that there are rumors out there that he likes being the guy. And there's a lot of Japanese players that would rather not be on a team with another Japanese player. Obviously, the Dodgers just signed the most famous Japanese player. The Mets have a Japanese pitcher in Senga as well. The Yankees have a history of having great Japanese players. But on this team, there is not a Japanese player, and the number 18 is still very much available, which is a number that's important to him. So everything kind of lines up in that sense as well.
And I think one of the things the Yankees have tried to communicate to him, Bob, is that Michael. I work with Bob more often than I work with you. Is that this is not about one championship. That if he signs a deal for X amount of years, this is about coming here and being part of a core that the Yankees feel can win multiple championships. That's the goal. You've got Cole, you've got Judge. They just added Soto in a smart, bold, and necessary offseason move. The Yankees are trying to continue this offseason. The Yankees are trying to make impactful moves, and that's why this Yamamoto discussion and this Yamamoto pursuit has been so important to them.
Yeah, and they're open to a lot of different things. We know the Yankees are always doing business. Brian Cashman trying to figure some things out. There are other free agent pitchers that are available as well. Blake Snell, former Yankee Jordan Montgomery coming off a World Series win with the Rangers. Marcus Stroman. Michael, we've heard the connection with Frankie Montas. Perhaps he comes back, but there are some intriguing names for anybody. But you think of Montas and Montgomery with those connections previously with the Yanks.
Well, I think the Yankees smartly are in on everything. They simply are. I think they've come out this offseason and they're flexing. They're going to just go out and Yankee. And that's what they've done in the past. They've shown their strength. They've shown the strength of their brand, the ability to suspend a lot of money as well. This is something that they have covering a wide swath that's out there. Now, whether they get Yamamoto, that will lead what they'll do next. But just because they get Yamamoto doesn't mean they're done. So I think you look at a different level of pitcher if you get Yamamoto to add somebody else. If you don't get Yamamoto, then maybe you look on that top level. But I give them credit. They have come out swinging the entire offseason.
Yeah, Brian Cashman has talked about the importance of adding pitching. He didn't say one pitcher. So Michael is exactly right that there is a push and a pursuit to try and improve that rotation. Outside of Garrett Cole last year, Yankee starters had an ERA of over 5. So that is not acceptable. You can't just have Cole and then hope and wish that the rest of rotation does its job. So Yamamoto would be first, but I expect that the Yankees will also pursue other pitchers. I think Montas is someone they've had their eye on because you'd love to be able to sign him to a one-year incentive-laden deal. Because they've had the history with Montgomery, there's also a connection there.
I'll tell you one thing that's impressive impressive about what the Yankees are doing is that they've gone out and they've gotten the best. Now, they haven't signed a free agent yet. Obviously, they're working hard to get Yamamoto. They went out and got the best player available in Soto. He's already on the team. Now they're looking at the best pitcher available. They're hoping that he's on the team, and they're still not done. I think this is an impressive approach, 82-80 without making the playoffs. That was not something that was acceptable to them. They were never going to run this team back and see if it could do better if they were all healthy. They improved it with the best hitter in the game, and now they're trying to get a 25-year-old guy who's won the equivalent of 3 straight Cy Youngs in Japan. They're swinging big.
Fellas, I want to throw a few more names at you, possible pitchers that could be trade options for a lot of teams, including the Yankees. Dylan Cease's name is out there with the White Sox. Corbin Burns, he's already won a Cy Young. And then Shane Bieber. Now, Cease is interesting, Jack. He's got a couple of years of eligibility left before he becomes a free agent, a couple of years of control. The other two have 1.
Right. So I look at that graphic, and despite what you just mentioned, and I know you'd get him for an extra year in Cease, the guy that I would center in on is right in the middle. If I had my choice of trying to acquire one of those pitchers, it would be Burns. I think he's got the best stuff of the 3 pitchers on that graphic. It's going to cost you. If the Brewers are going to move him, they're going to talk about a former Cy Young Award winner. You see what he's done his 6 seasons with the Brewers. The Yankees just traded 5 players to acquire Juan Soto. You're going to have to be able to put together a package to get Burns. We'll see if that is something that ends up happening, if those discussions happen, but Burns would make any rotation better.
It's interesting, though, because I really do believe that the Brewers are going to try to win what might not be a great division in the National League Central, and they have a new manager, Murphy, there. They want to keep everything together. You go for it, see how you start off, and then at the trade deadline, if you're out of it, then you could trade Burns and still get a nice return as well, although you're only getting 2 months of him. I think the guy that's most likely to be traded is Cease. The White Sox are emptying the cupboard. They don't like anything that's there, and they could probably get their greatest return. One thing that stands in the way of that and the free agent pitchers that you showed, it's going to be prospect capital, and the Yankees have invested a lot of prospect capital already in getting Soto. They lost 2 pitchers in the Rule 5 draft. So do you want to go that Spencer Jones route? I don't think you want to do that. So you have to find that sweet spot that makes the White Sox happy, and then you'd get back a really good pitcher.
All right, so we know the Yankees are working on their pitching staff. Their offense, though, as we mentioned, received a blockbuster boost with a trade for Juan Soto earlier this month. We will discuss Juan Soto and his impact on the lineup after our first break on Yankees Hot Stove. Stick around.
This match was made in baseball heaven.
It's the perfect acquisition for this team.
You're getting Juan Soto, whose career is on a Hall of Fame trajectory.
The Yankees have made their offense must-watch TV.
Significantly better, obviously, no doubt about it. On a scouting just alone, how many teams can run out, on a scouting scale, a pro scouting scale of 20 to 80? How many teams are running out 2 8s in their outfield? When the judge is Soto. I know that we saw that, iteration put together a little bit recently in the last few years in Anaheim with Trout and Ohtani, but it's hard to run out multiple 8s in any category, whether it's outfield, infield, or even on your 26-man roster. So it significantly upgrades us without a doubt. And the great thing about the crazy 8s is that one's right-handed, one's left-handed, and so that creates a tougher lineup to navigate, for the opposing pitchers. But it's a team sport. We got to obviously have a lot of other people pulling on the rope at the same time in the right direction. So we still have more work to do, and we know that, but we are really excited by what those, what this acquisition, can do for both balance and impact. Certainly excited by the opportunity to bring him here. We think, it's another manifestation of the Steinbrenner, legacy. I think George Steinbrenner always felt that, the best players in the world should play here for the New York Yankees. And I think that was always what he tried to accomplish, and had a lot of success along the way, not always being able to pull them off, but constantly trying to do that. And obviously Hal Steinbrenner and Jenny and Jessica have continued those efforts. And so, Juan Soto is the latest example of that, of their efforts to try to bring the greatest, most talented baseball players the world can provide to play and call home here in the Bronx, New York, for our fan base. And so we're excited by, the opportunity this provides for us as we move into the 24 season, and we're hopeful that his impact, along with his teammates, can provide some great baseball that plays deep into October for our fans.
Well, there's good reason for Brian Cashman to be so excited about Juan Soto's arrival in the Bronx. He'll be entering his age 25 season in 2024 and finds himself among the greats of the sport through this point of his career. He's only one of 6 players all time with at least a 940 OPS, 150 home runs, and 500 runs through age 24, joining Jimmy Fox, Mel Ott, Mickey Mantle, Albert Pujols, and Mike Trout. So it's interesting, and we've talked about this with John Flaherty sitting here, Michael. You're an opposing pitcher. You're game planning for that. You game plan for Judge, obviously, in 2023. You could get mental fatigue pregame thinking about how you game plan to get through those two at the top of the lineup.
Well, a couple of weeks ago on the show, I said that you can't miss the first inning. So if you're a fan and you can't miss the first inning, can you imagine a pitcher, what he's going through? You want to put it to 0 in that first inning. Most people struggle in the first inning. Even the best pitchers in baseball struggle in the first inning to find out what they have. You've got to navigate Judge, Soto, Stanton, and Rizzo in whichever order, and we'll give our lineups in a moment. That is a daunting task for anybody. The two guys, Soto and Judge, those are two of the best players in baseball, and you're going to see them first inning. That's pretty special.
I love when we talk about baseball players and we use the phrase craft. He's great at his craft. I say that a lot about Garrett Cole. That is something that I can't emphasize enough about Soto and his approach at the plate. He will make pitchers throw strikes. He is not going to stray out of the zone. He is going to be patient. He is going to make sure that you throw him a pitch that he can do some damage with or that he can handle. And if you don't, he will walk and he will let other guys in the lineup do the damage. I am very eager to watch him for 500, 600 plate appearances a season and watch him excel at his craft.
So, folks, what is your Yankees lineup for 2024? Soto 2, Judge 3, flip-flop those guys, Judge and Soto? Let's find out from these guys. Jack, we'll start with you.
I'm going to start with DJ LeMahieu in the leadoff spot, and I will tell you that I believe that LeMahieu's second half last year is more akin to who he is going to be. He's been working out in Tampa. Yankee people saying that he looks lean, he's running better. But what you were asking for, Bob, I think is the big news there. I've got Soto 2, Judge 3. I go Rizzo, Torres, Stanton, Verdugo, the catching tandem, and Volpe after that. So that allows me to go right, left, right, left, the catching tandem, and then right again. I like that balance, and I like Soto in front of Judge because I want Soto to see all those pitches, and I want Soto to have the at-bats that I just spoke about. I think they're interchangeable. The Yankees used 153 lineups last season, so let's not act like the lineup we see on opening day is the one you're going to see 100 straight days. But for the purpose of this segment and this show, this is what I'm going with.
So, Jack Boone, you're going with Stanton 6th?
I'm going with Stanton 6th because Torres had a better season, and Giancarlo Stanton himself has said that he needs to prove himself. I like the idea of lighting a fire under a player and saying, sure, you're hitting 6th this season to start out. Prove me wrong.
What if he tears it up in spring training? Does that have an impact, or are you saying you still got to prove it in the regular season, which he didn't do last year?
I'm going to wait for the regular season. I'm not going to be fooled or convinced by something that just happens in the spring.
All right, Michael, what about you?
Well, I really studied the analytics this afternoon. I didn't just throw it up there against the wall like Jack. This is my lineup that I would put out there. I agree with Jack. DJ LeMahieu is my number 1. From what I've heard, Juan Soto preferred in San Diego to bat 3rd. I'm going to make him happy. Aaron Judge is comfortable batting 2nd, so he's 2nd. There's 2 righties, then a lefty, then Stanton, a righty, then a lefty, Rizzo, then Torres, a righty, then Verdugo, a lefty. Now you've got a combination of Trevino or Wells. That's obviously when Wells in there, there's a lefty, and then Volpe batting 9th. The thing that worries me a little bit, that when Trevino starts, then you got Trevino, Volpe, LeMahieu, and Judge, 4 righties in a row. But I'm cool with that. I like the way that lineup stacks up.
You got two righties off the top as well, and that's okay with you.
Well, those two guys hit righties very well. I'm not worried about that. I don't like all the righties in a row what the Yankees have had in recent years because, as David Cohn has taught me, that is a break for a pitcher because you only have to look at one side of the plate. If you have a lefty, you have to also adjust to where you're throwing. I think there's enough of a balance there, and the Yankees were smart to go out and get a Verdugo and a Soto to get those lefties that you're going to make it difficult to navigate that lineup and also to go to the bullpen.
Soto started 112 games in the 3-hole. Michael said he studied this closely. He started 39 in the number 2 hole, so he has done it. And I think coming to a new place, as much as Michael says you want to make him comfortable, I also think you want to come to a new place and want to make a strong impression. So if the Yankees feel that there will be nights where they want him to hit second, let him hit second.
112 to 39. He hit third.
One season.
Okay, but that he liked it.
But I like right, left, right. I like him hitting in front of me. You called me Jack Boone. I'm telling you what I like. I like DJ LeMahieu's on-base percentage up top.
So do I.
I think DJ LeMahieu is going to have a season in 2024 that is more DJ-esque. So I want to go right, left right there for late in games.
But how about the fact that over the last couple of years, the Yankees loved Judge batting second? Why have he might lose it at bat.
Juan Soto wasn't on the team.
I get it. But now, the reason I like Soto batting third is that Judge has never had anybody behind him, even when Stanton was hot, that you'd rather pitch to Judge than that guy. Now, I'm not saying that you'd always rather pitch to Judge than Soto, but he's going to see a lot more pitches to hit. I want Judge that protection so he could put up 65 home runs. Who wants to face Soto with Judge on base?
So if you want to go Judge Soto but break it up, could you have a left-hander in the leadoff spot? Would you throw Verdugo in there, or is he to you untested?
I think against some tough righties, you will see Verdugo in the leadoff spot. Verdugo's numbers against right-handed pitchers over an 800 OPS. Meanwhile, LeMahieu, it's more like 750. One of the ideas that one of our researchers, James Smythe, threw out, I'd love to know your idea about this. He wanted to go Soto, Judge right out of the box. 1-2 punch, your two best on-base percentages, your two best hitters. I don't think that Soto will love that idea. You talked about him being comfortable in the 3 spot. I'm not sure he's going to love suddenly being your leadoff guy.
I love James. He's my brain in the booth, but you're not batting Soto first. You're not doing that because he does run into home runs. He had 35 last year. I don't want leadoff home runs with just one. Forget about it. How about your lineup?
I'll tell you who's batting first, and it's not DJ LeMahieu. It is Gleyber Torres.
Oh.
He is going into his walk here. He is going to play like his pants are on fire, perhaps as well as his hair. You never know. As a leadoff hitter, he was 272 with 4 home runs. He's got an OBP of 347. That's better than LeMahieu. Jack, I did listen to what you said about LeMahieu. Better second half. So we go righty, lefty, righty with Soto batting second. Rizzo, Stanton, and then you back up the right-handers in LeMahieu. I can't drop him lower than 6 there. Verdugo, Trevino, Volpe. What do you think?
So I like the Gleyber Torres idea. I think that's an interesting wrinkle. But more than anything, what I'm taking away from is that you also have Soto batting second and Judge batting third. So that means that you and I are overwhelming Michael with our knowledge.
Well, I'll tell you what. If there's a manager that could convince Soto, give second a try, Aaron Boone is great at that. He has great communication skills with his players. I'm just telling you what I heard when he was in San Diego, that he greatly preferred batting third. Now, this is the last year, before he becomes a free agent. He wants to put up a monster year. He wants everybody to love him. And I think right now everybody does love him. I still think he's going to end up batting third for the Yanks. Judge has been very successful batting second. Why mess with a good thing?
There is one other way he could rack up a ton of runs batted in, etc. That's my Secret Santa lineup, my Secret Santa list. It's got Anthony Volpe.
I don't hate it.
Leading off.
I don't hate
that. I get it. He was a 206 hitter last year. I think by acclamation, everybody agrees he's going to be a better hitter this year in terms of average and OBP. He gets on base, Michael. He is going to run. He's going to be on second base, so Soto can knock him in. Judge can knock Soto in, etc. The only thing I had a little bit of a problem with here, LeMahieu's, I think he's earned it where he doesn't need to hit that low in the order, but I kind of had to piece things out, so...
Yeah, you had to find a spot for him. My leadoff hitter is batting 8th in your lineup. But I will say this. I think at some point in 2024, we will see that lineup. I think the Yankees' hope is that Volpe ascends to the top spot in the lineup. And while I mentioned that the Yankees used 153 different lineups, the average in Major League Baseball was 139. So we're going to see a lot of different lineups, and I bet all 4 that we just showed, including Mr. Secret Santa over here, I bet they'll all be in play.
I would co-sign with Volpe at top if I knew he was hitting 260.
Right.
Not he can't hit 207 and strike out as much as he did. He had a great year for a rookie, but he's got to hit higher than that. By the way, I'm the only one of the three who gave you a starting pitcher. Nobody else mentioned it. Garrett Cole's on the mound.
Eyewash.
Oh, it's not eyewash. You got to pitch a starting pitcher.
Yeah, I think the reigning Cy Young Award winner will probably pitch on opening day.
You know what? I wrote it down on the card. You guys just left it to guess.
Well, we know who's going to probably be catching him, Jose Trevino. He'll be looking for a bounce back here after his 2023 season was derailed by a wrist injury. We're going to catch up with the former Platinum Glove winner on the other side of a quick timeout right here on Yankees Hot Stove. Stick around. Good to have you back once again here on Yankees Hot Stove. Jose Trevino played just 55 games last season before he underwent season-ending right wrist surgery. Earlier today, I had the chance to catch up with him for a wide-ranging discussion. Jose, I'm sure the first thing Yankees fans want to know after your wrist surgery, where are you at right now? Are you 100% heading into spring training?
Yeah, I feel really good. I'm feeling very good. I'm excited. You know, I missed a lot of time playing baseball, so I'm getting the itch already, and we're not even at Christmas yet. So I'm excited to get down to Florida, get going, and see all the teammates, see all the fans.
So obviously last season, there's a period of time you're away from the team, you're watching the games on TV, and there was a great quote you had. You talked to Pete Caldera in a conversation, and it was basically you wished Yes could have a Trevi cam. Because you have a viewpoint that nobody else in the stadium besides the home plate umpire has, right? So I'm curious.
Yeah.
You said it was because you want to see their expressions and their body language. And what does it look like to you? Because none of us get to see that vantage point.
I mean, just to see what's going on. I think people would definitely love it. You know, just to see what kind of inside the game, see what it's really like from our point of view. But I think the fans would enjoy it. For sure.
So maybe we'll have a Trevi cam on your helmet somehow. You know, Major League Baseball actually has messed with that technology. They obviously mic'd you up in the All-Star game. Yeah. Do you like that kind of interaction, or is that getting your way at all?
Yeah, no, I love that kind of stuff. You know, I think I did it one time last year for Sunday Night Baseball. The only thing I would say is, like, I try not to talk too much because the hitter's there. But in between, you know, the batter coming up, in between pitches and stuff like that, I think it's cake. But I think MLB should definitely look into it. Maybe it's an alternate channel. Maybe the Yes Network does it, and they have another channel. So we'll see what happens.
You're coming up with some good ideas. I'm going to be pitching these later, but I'll make sure you get full credit for them.
I like it.
In the meantime, I am curious. You talked about reading body language on the mound, but also sometimes the Yes cameras will catch you having a conversation, and a lot of times catching a conversation between innings, let's say with Cole, Rodon, et cetera. What are those conversations like, and how important are they to shaping the next inning?
For me, their conversation is just like anything else, you know, checking in, how you feeling, what do you think you're seeing, what am I seeing, kind of just matching up the game plan, seeing if we're going to execute the game plan, seeing if we got to pivot to something else. But for the most part, it's just conversations about the game, how we're rolling, how can we, you know, be more effective in the situations. So
now, one guy I know you wanted to have more game conversations with, given your shortened season, was Garrett Cole. Wins the Cy Young Award this year. Can you just tell me about that, about what you saw from him? Maybe that was a little different from what you've seen from him in the past, or was it?
Yeah, no, I mean, he definitely made some adjustments coming into 2023, and it paid off. You know, he went out, he was fixing his craft, he was honing his craft, and he did just that. You know, he did what Garrett is supposed to do. And I keep telling people, I'm like, don't be surprised if the dude goes out and like does it again and again and again. You know, he's the type of guy that's like, once he gets a taste of something, it's like, I'm going full steam ahead. So I wouldn't be surprised if Garrett comes out and has another great season. You know, he's one of those guys that, you know, he wants to win bad. And for us to go, you know, he's a very important role.
So this season going into it, you have worked with Austin Wells in the past, have a relationship with him, Ben Rortvedt. It figures to be you and Wells in some kind of platoon situation, or at least with Wells backing you up. What have been your impressions of him so far in terms of his play at the major league level?
He's been good. He's been good. I thought he handled the staff pretty well when he was up there. Me watching from afar, of course. You know, he does the scouting reports. He prepares, you know, and there's no predictions in baseball. You can't say, you know, this is going to happen. You could just kind of prepare for it. And I think Austin does a really good job of that. You know, obviously he has a little bit more to grow, and, you know, I'm gonna spill into him as much as I can. Whatever he asks, you know, I'm gonna see if I don't have the answer, we'll find somebody that does. But for the most part, he knows that he can ask me, talk to me about anything he wants, questions, you know, advice, anything like that. So it's exciting. I'm very excited. He's a good player. Looking forward to see what he does.
Now, the past couple seasons for you, your main collaborator behind the plate was Kyle Higashioka. But this offseason, he was dealt to San Diego in the trade for Juan Soto. What's that going to be like for you and the Yankees, knowing that one of the longest tenured Yankees is not there anymore?
Yeah, I think that was a tough one for me, man. I was really close to Higgy, but then now you get Juan Soto on your team, and that's a big difference.
Well, let's talk about that, because that got your attention. It got everybody's attention. And from the first pitch of 2024, when you've got Soto and Judge in some back-to-back format, I mean, that's going to be must-watch TV and must-watch in any ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, I said it. I'll say it again. You pair one of the best hitters with the best hitter in the big leagues, it's going to definitely be a fun night in the Bronx. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
One final thing, there could be an addition to the Yankee staff. Everybody's in wait-and-see mode. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is out there as a free agent. Have you paid attention a lot to the Yamamoto sweepstakes?
Obviously, he's a very talented pitcher, you know, and we would love to have him. I think, you know, he's young. He's a very special talent. I think he'd be great in the Bronx. I think he'd love it.
Well, again, big changes ahead for 2024. You're back full force, which will be great for the Yankees and their fans. Jose, thanks for the time. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, and look forward to seeing you in spring training.
Thank you, guys. Can't wait to see y'all.
Great catching up with Jose Trevino there, and you wonder what the makeup will be. I mean, you're getting back an all-star from 2 years ago, a Platinum Glove Award winner. What that makeup will be like behind the plate between he and Wells.
Right. I think Trevino comes in as the incumbent, so he's the starter. But the Yankees like what they saw out of Wells last season. He's also another left-handed bat, and we talk about those left-handed bats in the lineup. Soto, Rizzo, Verdugo. You add Wells in the mix, there will be some spots where the Yankees will have 4 lefty hitters in the lineup. They wanted to add that balance. You talk about those players also being able to put the ball in play. The contact was something that was part of their lineup. But I think it's going to be very interesting, Michael, because you do have a veteran in Trevino who is likely to be pushed by a youngster who wants some playing time as well.
It's kind of interesting because Higashioka really accepted his role as the backup catcher. Wells is a young man. He wants to be a star in the big leagues. He wants to be an everyday catcher. Trevino's also relatively young. He's 31, so he's going to have to tell Wells all the secrets. I think the Yankees liked what they saw of Wells late. He has a live bat. He's got some pop. The thing that I was impressed with, we always heard coming up, you know what, he's not quite a good catcher. He acquitted himself quite well behind the plate and also had a great rapport with the pitchers. And what Jose mentioned, this guy worked hard. He was there early. Every time he was going to catch, even when he wasn't, he was sitting there and going over everything with the pitchers. I think the pitchers respected him, and that's going to be interesting to see how they split it up. You know that Trevino's getting 32 starts. Those are Cole's. Yeah. How they split up the other ones, the 130, I'm not quite sure.
Trevino will be one of the Bombers trying to hit balls out of Yankee Stadium next season, but last Friday, Jingle Bells was being performed in the Bronx. We will explain that coming up next. Our next episode of Yankees Hot Stove comes your way Thursday night here on Yes. We'll be on the air at 9 p.m. following the college basketball game between Fairfield and FDU. We'll also have the latest on the Yamamoto sweepstakes plus news from around the majors right here on Yes and streaming on the Yes app. Well, thanks for coming back with us on the Hot Stove. The Yankees were spreading lots of holiday cheer on Friday at the stadium where they held their 14th annual Winter Wonderland event. The Great Hall transformed into the North Pole to welcome thousands of local kids for a chance to receive gifts from Santa himself.
This is something we look forward to year-round. All of our volunteers, all of our corporate partners, we come together to create this magic that we call Winter Wonderland, and that's what's happening here today. Walmart has been an amazing partner for a number of years with this effort. As you can see, we have toys from one end of the Great Hall to the other. In addition, Nike, the All Rise Foundation partnered with Rawlings and secured a ton of gloves for us. This couldn't happen with the Yankees alone. We come together with our network of volunteers and partners, and we make this magic happen.
It's a tradition that our grandparents, really instilled in us just during the holidays to give back, especially just even a little bit more than you do during the regular season, because people really need it. And so it's just a lovely opportunity that we have to be able to come together as a family and an organization, and with Walmart, who are the most incredible partners and provided all of these toys for us today for these kids, and just getting to see the joy on their faces is the greatest.
Just the partnership with the Yankees for this event is a really big deal, and the amount of kids that are coming here that we're able to provide a smile to really makes it worth it.
We're spreading holiday cheer throughout the borough of the Bronx. Today, as a result of our partners, our volunteers, we're coming together and we invited 6,000 local youth to attend Winter Wonderland at Yankee Stadium. And as you can see by the smiles on the faces, the kids are having a great time.
Anytime where we're able to help donate to the community that we cater to on an everyday basis, I think the holidays really come together when you're seeing the kids smile and grab the toys that they want.
The community has given us so much, our family, and it's really our pleasure and our honor to be able to give back in some way.
We are a committed neighbor to this community. That is driven throughout our organization from our ownership down. It is part of our fabric and day-to-day operations. And we work with our neighbors, our community partners to promote change and make a difference. And that's what we're doing here today.
We're a family that tries to find the joy in everything, and especially right now with everything going on, we're trying to bring as much happiness as we can. I think it's really important, especially for the children who are beautiful, innocent people, and we're just excited to be able to do this today.
Our first year here, so it's very, exciting for us.
I'm really so appreciated from the bottom of my heart. This is very grateful. The way they think about the community. Let's go Yanks.
To have families come and have such an enjoyable time and feel that joy from their kids to the point that they're excited to come back next year is absolutely everything. We love our community and anything we can do for our community, and that, we get that love back and appreciation, and they want to be here with us just as much as we want them here is amazing.
Well done by the Yankees and their sponsors. We will take another time out on Yankees Hot Stove. Up next, we'll shine the offseason spotlight on Gleyber Torres, who's getting set for his final season before free agency. Stay with us right here on Yes. Over the last few weeks, Gleyber Torres has been releasing behind-the-scenes videos on YouTube of his off-season workouts. Torres had a real bounce-back season in 2023, playing 158 games with 25 home runs, his most since 2019. Gleyber's entering his final seasons before his free agency in 2024 and could be in line for a big payday if he continues to serve as one of the Yankees' most consistent hitters. Take a look at the work he's doing there. He burst onto the scene as a 21-year-old in 2018, finishing third in the American League Rookie of the Year voting that season. He's a two-time All-Star who had a tough stretch in 2020 and 21, but has been much improved over the last 2 years. So, Michael, what would be your takeaway of last season, thinking that will translate somehow, by the way you see the workouts he's putting into 2024?
Well, first of all, he's going to be a free agent, so you want to put up your best numbers possible. I thought he had a great season last year. He corrected on a lot of things that had been troublesome over the previous seasons. He didn't strike out as much. He walked. He rediscovered his home run stroke. I think the thing that worked against him, strangely enough, is when he had that 38 home run season. Everybody expected that to happen all the time. But a 25 home run season out of a second baseman, a guy up the middle, and then you've got already a Volpe with over 20 as well. That's a lot of power up the middle, and that serves the Yankees well. And when he's really got his head into it, he's a very good defensive second baseman as well.
Second best offensive player on the team last season, and when Judge was out, he was the offensive player that the Yankees turned to. And Michael is right. He went into the season with a mindset of, I've got to be less aggressive. And by that, I mean, don't chase pitches out of the zone. Be aggressive when it's something you could do some damage with, but don't let pitchers get you out on their pitches. And it worked. He cut his strikeouts by about 30. He almost doubled his walk total. You add in the 55 extra base hits. This is a solid offensive player. The base running and the defense need to improve at times, but offensively, he was strong.
I continually hear Paul O'Neill's voice because he knows when Glaber's going to, he's got to hit the ball up the middle and the right center because he fell in love with the home run at 38 and he tried to pull a lot, and that led to a lot of the problems mechanically. But when he goes up the middle and takes the ball to right center, he's a great hitter.
Can't get rid of that voice in the offseason, can you?
I hear it in my head all the time.
Stuck. On opening day, Torres will be playing behind Garrett Cole. He was named to the All-MLB first team. Meanwhile, Yankees captain Aaron Judge was named to the second team. The 5th annual All-MLB teams were announced on Saturday night. Shohei Ohtani also found his way onto the All-Major League Baseball team, both as a hitter and a pitcher, and he's now being joined in Los Angeles by Tyler Glasnow. We will discuss the Dodgers offseason next on Yankees Hot Stove.
We're all trying to put together the pieces.
And the wheels are turning.
This is a move you have to make. It's going to be a chess match.
After the Dodgers acquired Shohei Ohtani, they made another big move by trading for Tyler Glasnow and Manuel Margot from the Rays last week. As part of the deal, the Dodgers signed Glasnow to a 5-year contract extension, which will keep him in Los Angeles through the 2028 season. So we learned after all that deferred money, Dodgers did want to go out and spend more, and they spent it more on an extension with Glasnow.
I like Glasnow a lot. I really do. But one thing that you don't get out of him is you don't get reliability. He's not on the mound a lot. Most games he's ever pitched in with 34 and pitched out of the bullpen as well in 2018. He's either hurt or they push him back just a little bit. He's got great stuff. If he could stay healthy, it's a great addition, but there's a lot of question marks.
And what was interesting after the Ohtani signing, the $700 million contract that we all know is not now a $700 million contract, they still need a lot of pitching help. They have Walker Buehler, who's also coming off an injury, and then a ton of question marks. So adding Glasnow, even with what Michael said, more question marks, they needed to go get someone like him, and they need to get other pitching help as well. Yes, they will be a super team, but they also need to have some pitchers who can go out there every 5th day. They're still working on that.
Let's take one more time out on Yankees Hot Stove. We've got some final thoughts on this edition when we come back right here on Yes, so stay with us. The shuffle that never sleeps is coming to the city that never sleeps. It's really the only shuffle, certainly like that, between every pitch in the business. You wonder how that's going to play in the Bronx, Michael.
You know what? The one thing they got with Soto, well, they got two things. They got a tremendous player, but this guy is a superstar. It reminds me of Reggie, where, he's bringing a star with him, and he does not shy from the spotlight. He is going to be a guy that you cannot take your eyes off of, and part of that is that shuffle. Maybe it's going to anger the other team, but he does have swagger. I hate that word, but he has swagger. He just has a different feel about him. He's a legitimate star.
Yeah, he's got a lot of pizzazz. He's got a lot of swagger. You watch those highlights, and you know you're going to see those over and over again. Interestingly, on the Zoom conference call that he did, the introductory conference call, he said that he had some difficulty with the pitch clock at the beginning of last season, and his antics are part of that. But he said he figured out a way to get into a comfort zone. And if you do look back at his start with the Padres, he had a really rough April. And the last 5 months of the season, hit almost 300, had 30 home runs.
You want swag? That's swag.
Christmas socks.
All right.
Because you won't be with us on Thursday, right?
Well,
oh, you will? Oh, you will.
I've got more Christmas stuff.
My goodness.
Yeah, I'm going to bring you guys gifts.
Buy
too.
a whole pack?
Don't you worry about
socks.
All right, we've seen him. We've seen him now. That's enough.
There's a distinct smell on the set
It's
now.
a beautiful smell.
Did you know he was going to pull out the Christmas socks?
I
it's
did. Well, I
December
thought there
18th
might be
here.
a chance, but we had at least a minute left of the show. I didn't think it would come so quickly.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to end it because that would blind people. I want to take them into the next show.
It's going to be interesting when Soto will he wear socks like that, I guess, is the
Soto
question.
won't wear socks like that. You talk about the offseason and you have a checklist, just like Santa Claus says, checking your list. On the Yankees list was Soto. Also on that list is Yamamoto. We talked about it at the beginning of the show, why those two sides could be a perfect match.
And could it happen soon? We'll be here Thursday to find out.
And we'll find out Thursday if maybe all it took was just an extra pair of cool Michael K. socks to get the deal done. You never know. Wow.
Yeah.
That just happened on our air. There you go. Great way to wrap up the show. See what else he's got for us coming up Thursday at 9. We'll see you then. Take care.